has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible. Hanging out the bad seed, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion show. Along with the Tutty and Tater King, the founder of the ILC podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, and the Put It With the Golf guru, Carver High, this afternoon, ladies. Mafia is running along with Luke. I'm your father. The rundown to start the week. The first show of the week, we got a double shot with Morency this very hour from British Columbia. And within some point or another, I think we have inside the first hour, Mitch Lawrence from NBA Radio on Sirius XM. In the second hour, Ashwin Gann, the hip-hop artist, the rapper, and actor, everything. He does it all. Joining us today, he's having a concert tonight, Carver High, where they serve the best soft serve ice cream at Petco in San Diego at the Padres game this evening. Your boy Ashwin getting involved. So we come off the Carver High weekend at the Travelers, which I have to say, I did watch on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, I watched the ending, which was very interesting to see Fleetwood Mac crumble on 17 and 18. Now, on 17, he left it 5 foot, passed the hole, but made the putt. And then on 18, he bogeyed from 5 feet, opening the door for the Northeastern styling Keegan Bradley to steal the win with a birdie on 18 and $3.6 million.
He certainly did. Happy Monday here, and what a scene it was.
Yes, sir.
There over the weekend, and I am so glad. I kind of felt a little bad for Tommy Fleetwood, then I didn't feel bad anymore when I opened up and checked my account after Keegan Bradley won. I didn't care anymore. What a great win for Keegan. Second time in 3 years.
You never care when the account balloons.
No. You know what? Tommy's got plenty of money. I'm sure someday he'll win an event on the PGA Tour. Most top 10s ever without a win. Most top 10s on the PGA Tour ever without winning. Now he's won in Europe on all these other tours, but he's never won a PGA Tour event. And he didn't yesterday either, blowing that.
How do you ever win after that? All he had to do was lag the putt up, but he literally was so scared to putt that ball that he left it 6 feet short, and you knew he was going to miss the putt. But how about the putt itself? It looked like it hit a ball mark and veered right. It was going right for the hole. And it turned. It literally took a sharp turn.
And I actually thought what really was telling was, and you were watching it, that on that final hole, that really quick club change on his second shot. Did you see how he was lined up to hit, and he went over and he changed clubs, and he left it a little short there? That's when you know it's in your head. When you're doing that and you're about ready to hit, you go change the club. It's just the mind is just racing.
How about your boy Keegan standing next to him, like on the 18th? He was literally in his eyesight, standing on the side of the green, watching his putt so he would see the line. But he really, I thought, intimidated him by standing that close to him. I thought that was bizarre, but it was slick on Keegan's part, and then he easily made the putt and started his party.
I think that you had a little bit of, and obviously Keegan wants to win too, but I think you had your first little bit of like Ryder mind games there as well, because not only is Tommy trying to win his first, event on tour, the whole entire place is rooting for Keegan Bradley. You go to that Travelers in Cromwell. He's a he's a New Hampshire guy. He's a Vermont guy. He loves the whole place. That is all Keegan. The whole place is rooting for him. And you're fighting them. It's going to be just like what he's going to be doing at Bethpage Black against the Americans in a couple months from now at the Ryder Cup. It's staring him back down. But what a shame. And what a great win for us. Keegan at 40-1. I had a blast out there Saturday. We hit so many bets just being live out there on the course. It's so much different doing those micro betting hole by hole when you're there and you could see the shots and see where they are, and you could easily just be like, oh, all right, I'm betting him for a par here, or I'm betting for a birdie. It's harder to do on TV, right, Scott? Because you don't really know what the distance is. You don't really know that, there's
Carter High now going out on tour. He's going to start going weekly.
It was a cleanup on Saturday out there at the Travelers. What a day.
You're going to become Stewie. You're going to start showing up at every event.
It was unbelievable. But, of course, bigger event was the end of the NBA season last night with the Oklahoma City Thunder taking care of business in the second half. They were down 1.5, and then they just took control of the game. Haliburton, of course, tore his Achilles. He's finished. Didn't finish the game last night, but what a job by the Thunder, Sky. I've got so many numbers for you later in the show, all these historic things that they've done, and man, I mean, they were pretty ho-hum about it afterwards too, right? That was like the most relaxed, like, who cares celebration I've ever seen for a team that's won a championship in my life. It's like they didn't even care.
I don't really know what to say about that other than they're young and inexperienced, and they didn't party the way they should have. I saw someone today say something interesting. There's no clubs there, so they had to go to TGI Fridays to have the party. But look, Friday I said on the show, they'll win by 10 or 12. I laid, I think it was at that point, I laid 8.5. It went down to 7. And it's still, it hit all of them. It was a really good game. I'm going to say this right from the jump. I thought that if the Pacers had won that game, because they were in that game, they were every bit, they led by 1 at the half. They were in the game. They had a chance to win the game. That I truly believe T.J. McConnell, not Siakam, would have been the MVP because the guy scored 13 in the third quarter, and for literally almost 15 minutes, no one else scored a basket for the Pacers. He scored every basket all the way into the fourth quarter, and then finally someone said someone else finally scored because he had scored every single basket. The baskets that he made in that run of buckets that he threw in were unbelievable, sticking daggers right in 7-footers' faces, making every single shot. Layups, 6'1", going into the trees and shooting finger roll layups off the glass. He would have been the MVP if the Pacers won the championship. There's no doubt in my mind. Siakam didn't do anything. It was McConnell who took over the game after Haliburton went down. I thought TJ was unbelievable until we caught him crying with his mommy after the game. You just can't have it.
Very emotional
with your mommy
afterwards. With the dad got a lot of burn this weekend too, right? The dad's all over the place now. McConnell's pops, but. Yeah, another end of the year, SGA, historic stuff. What was he, the 4th player ever to win the regular season MVP, win the regular season scoring title, win the NBA championship, win the finals MVP.
And Western final MVP.
Shaq, and Kareem.
Everything.
Jordan, Shaq, and Kareem were the only other ones that have done that. That's rarefied air for him.
And you know how long ago that was, those guys that you mentioned that no one's ever heard of?
Yeah. Right. This is not in the last couple of years that those things have happened. So pretty historic stuff.
I think it was since 2000, right? Something like that.
Yes. Shaq was the last one who did that back in the day. So, yeah.
The Diesel.
Big night.
Their team total is 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way. And now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back, because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern on all of our TV and radio outlets. We get Morency for a double shot every day on Coast to Coast. I just wanted to mention really quick before, and not to bum out Gabe, but our buddy, a long time, like 30 years, he's been doing my show, Scott Miller from the New York Times, the great writer. He's got several books out, including a bestseller right now about managers in baseball. Scott passed away over the weekend at 62. And
terrible.
He used to do the show, religiously. And a great friend of mine, I introduced him to my family in San Diego at a Padres game one night a few years ago. So that, he's such a great writer and a friend. I wanted my family to meet him. And, every time I went to San Diego, I'd have dinner with him. He's just the greatest guy ever. And he had been sick. We never mentioned that he had cancer on this show when he came on. I think a couple of years ago it started, and he had lost his hair and such. And then I'll never forget when that happened. I was like, what is happening here? And then a couple of years later, he was in remission and he got better. He got all his hair back. The guy was a really handsome guy, Southern California guy, surfer looking dude, had cool hair, cool guy, just a real California guy, just the greatest guy ever. And then today I find out he died, and I'm just like,
I'm sorry to hear.
Last week my buddy died from the Kings and the USC Trojans, the old SID Jason Pommier, and now Scott Miller gone. I don't want to bum you out. I just I had to mention it, because if I didn't, I'd forget to do it, because I'm an idiot. And rest in peace. He was just the greatest guy, and we lose one of our big baseball contributors here on Coast to Coast. I thought the world of Scott. He loved baseball and he loved writing. He was a great writer, great author. All of his books are kick-ass. Check out his book on umpires, it was on managers. He wrote about all the greatest managers of all time, and it's really cool. Sorry about taking a chunk of that time there, Gabe, but I also want to mention to you that I watched over the weekend, the Lions lost again. I'm very upset about the quarterback situation. It's very, very upsetting to me, their offense.
It was very upsetting to everybody in the stadium as well. But as far as Scott, our condolences to his family. And I've had him on. I had him on the show a couple of times over the years. Always enjoyed his hits with you.
And, you could just feel his passion for the sport of baseball. I mean, the guy loved baseball, and I often agreed with his takes as well and how he saw things. But, I never met him personally, but, I had him on the show, and you sort of get to know people. In this business, there's a lot of people that you know well. I mean, I know about people's personal lives and this, and I've never met him before in real life, Scott. You know what I mean? So, this guy's been on the show 17 years, never met him before, but, it's like they're like your family members.
Yeah.
Right? You speak to them. Guy. I speak to them more. Speak to my guests on a weekly basis. I don't speak to people in my family on a weekly basis. You know what I'm saying? So, it's the way, the way it goes. So you become close to these people. But, our condolences to Scott and his family. I was always a big fan of his. As far as the BC Lions, I knew going in, Scott, number one, and I should have warned you. I kind of did. But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they're the one team they can't beat. The Bombers have beaten them 9 of the last 11 times. They just can't beat them. It's one of those, they're in the same division. The Bombers own them. It just is what it is. The Bombers play a physical brand of football. They just run the ball down your throat, and no one really does that in the CFL, Scott. It's a lot of, everyone passes in the CFL. The Bombers mix it up. They only threw 25 times. They run the ball a lot. They're a physical team. And BC are not. BC match up well with teams, Scott, if you want to throw the ball on. They have a good secondary. They're fast. They're kind of like a modern team. They're kind of undersized. So they're a fast team, but they're undersized. And their quarterback was out. And as we saw, Jeremiah Masoli, I don't want to be mean, Scott, but the guy sucks. Let's just call it out for what it is. He should be a quarterback coach. He's 36 years old. He was good in the CFL before. Remember, he was on the Ducks at Ole Miss years ago. And all right. At some point, time catches up. And, you're only 36, but you look 46 out there, bro. You know what I mean? So, I was mad, too. I was tweeting angry things after the game. But that's good. It shows you care, right? So, I was, this is unacceptable. What the hell's the coach doing? They got Chase Bryce out of App State. I'm like, put the freaking kid in. It can't be worse. Let's see what the kid's got. They didn't do it. Nate Rourke will be back this week. They'll still win 10 games, but they can't beat the Bombers.
What does a kid like that make when he gets a job in the CFL and he's the backup quarterback? What does he make? Couldn't cut it in the NFL. They end up in the CFL. What does a guy like that make?
Oh, Nate Rourke? He's making $800K a year.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad when you don't matter. Like his brother is going into the NFL, but he doesn't matter either. But the redheaded stepchild brother up in the CFL making $800 large. I'd be loving life.
So his brother's making the same thing, the NFL minimum essentially, $950K, whatever it is.
Right.
Except you'll never play. You're holding a clipboard. You're never going to play. At least Nate's playing. You know what I mean? And it adds up, Scott. You think about it. There was a guy, Anthony Covillo, in the CFL. 13, 14-year career. They used to make more money in the CFL, but it got out of hand, and they were like, we got to tone down the QBs. So he was making about $1.5 million, Scott, 10 years ago. Long story short, I was talking to him and his buddies after. They're like, man, he's got $13 million in the bank. He owns a house in Utah, a house in Montreal, and he's an assistant coach in the CFL. Great life. He's a millionaire. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to make $130 million, Scott. You know what I'm saying? Nate Rourke, when it's all said and done, bro, he's going to have about $8-10 million in the bank. Not bad. He played football. It's not bad, bro, It
was the same thing as, we were talking about T.J. McConnell. They owe him $10 million for 4 more years, $40 million.
Yeah.
And I said, if he finishes with, he probably made $60 million in his career when it's all said and done. He's still rich.
I like Scabberly. I saw Brian Scabberly's playing in the 3-on-3 league, the Ice Cube League.
Yeah.
Something, he goes, people say I suck. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'm a lot closer to LeBron James than you are.
Who's Galabrini? You mean him? The guy playing?
Yeah. He's playing in his 3-on-3. He's playing 3-on-3.
Did you see him play in the hood against that dude, the prophet?
Yeah.
Whatever his
he
name
loves
is.
this stuff, Scarborough. He's in there with the brothers. He's going out and what. And he's like, yeah, people say I sucked in the NBA. He goes, I did suck in the NBA. But he goes, I'm a lot closer to LeBron James than you'll ever be. And he had a picture of him guarding LeBron.
Looking for an edge in betting basketball? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent a message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face, and after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. They confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We always love talking to Morency every day on Coast to Coast. I have to go with something different here today. I actually was livid. I had no bones in this Coastal Carolina LSU College World Series. I have never in my life seen a game where in the first inning, the first batter of the game, they got like this ump misses 3 calls. And the manager of the Coastal team gives him the business. You missed 3 in a row. And he ejects him. And then, to make matters even worse, the first base coach is walking back over to his job over at first base. And there's 3 umpires standing there. And one of them falls down. He trips on his buddy's shoe. Literally tripped on his own. He tripped on his own. No one touched him. And he accused the first base coach of bumping him and making him fall down. This fat ass fell down on his own. No one touched him. And they ejected him. And for 2 games, they would have not been allowed to manage in the third and deciding game if necessary. Well, of course, your manager and your other coach get thrown out of the game in the first inning. They got their ass beat. They lost 5-3 or whatever. They were down 5-1. I have never seen candy-ass, thin-skinned umps so bad in my life than those 2 umps in a championship game.
A championship game, Scott.
Are you kidding me that they threw him out in the first inning? How pathetic was that home plate umpire?
And there's no way in hell, Scott, like, they're not the LA Dodgers. They're kids. So it's going to freaking rattle them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, point blank. Like, it's just, the game was over. Like you said, it's game, set, match.
It was over.
For the record, I picked LSU before the tournament started, plus 550. And I wasn't like the boldest pick in the world. They were the third choice to win. I think Arkansas were favored. Tennessee were like the second choice, and then it was LSU.
I was rooting for Coastal. I was rooting for Coastal.
You know what? I even took Coastal, Scott, because they were underdogs. Like, I was like, you know what? I took them on Saturday. I'm like, I got LSU to win it all, but I like them at plus 130. But that is disgraceful, bro. Like, in a championship game, to make yourself a part of it, and these stooges, and like, it really is shameful. They should never be allowed anywhere near a big game again. That entire crew, because that was a disgraceful display
fall
there.
Down and he blamed blamed the guy walking by him and that he tripped him. He never tripped him. That dork fell on his own. And it was so funny because he fell over and he rolled over because he was so fat and clumsy.
Like, can there be like a bigger embarrassment when it's all said and done? So you sabotage the series. You fell on your fat ass. Right. So like, this is like, are you kidding me? Like, so, and you know what's funny? We didn't have any incidents throughout the entire tournament. Right. So this is just like, so out of the blue in a championship game, they decide to take over. And as you stated too, like the manager didn't even say much. He said, hey, get it right. You know what I mean? He told the guy, you know, a couple
How
of
do
little
you
chirps.
throw someone out after, like, with no swearing, no cussing? Now, I have been in, so I was at a game one night, right? And this guy got teched up and he never cussed at the ref. And I was coaching the team and I said to the guy, and I know the guy, and I'm like, bro, he didn't even cuss at you. Like,
you know what
how
funny
much
was,
of a
Scott?
P are you that he can't even say to you, what is that? What is that call? And it's all he did. He was like, what are you talking about? What is that call? And he gave him a technical, and I was like, dude, can I, like, because I'm not coach. I said, can I drop a couple bombs right now so you can at least hear a swear word before you text somebody?
Kyle Lowry,
is there
Scott?
anything worse than a ref that doesn't get cussed at that still ejects somebody?
Kyle Lowry got kicked out of a game a couple of years ago with the Raptors because he said, shut the F up. Except the thing is, he was talking to Nick Nurse.
He's talking to his own team.
Nick Nurse and Lowry talked to each other like that. So he wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, Lowry looked over and he goes, would you shut the F up? And he's dribbling, the ref's like, boom, you're gone. And Lowry's like, I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking to Nick Nurse on my own coach. Right? Like,
have you ever seen these guys get bumped? Like, I've seen it before in the NBA. A guy gets bumped. Like, in a crowd of people, he gets bumped and he ejects somebody.
Come on, look.
Like,
and look in the NHL, Scott. NHL, these linemen trying to break things up. They're eating elbows in the head. And
getting punched.
They're getting punched. You know what I mean? Bennett pushes the ref out of the way in a scrum. The other, get out of the way. Like,
they ruined the world. I thought they ruined the College World Series. I think
it'll always be remembered. It'll be remembered for that, not LSU.
They ruined everything. Marriages, everything. Parties, weekends.
Their team totals 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way, and now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back, because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, great to have Morency on. What did you think of that, Mike? You have to have an opinion. I know you were at the Travelers, but you had to have seen it, right? The fallout from this home plate umpire in this College World Series. Like, what a loser. Like, that is the worst ump in baseball that I've seen, I guess, since Angel Hernandez. I mean, like, this guy, remember the guy in I forget his name. I'll never remember his name. But you remember the guy that ruined the perfect game with the Tiger pitcher? And at least he apologized and admitted, Jim Joyce admitted, good call, Luke. He admitted that he screwed it up and it ruined his life. Which I felt bad for the guy after he, admitted what it did to his life, like screwing up that perfect game. He got death threats and everything else. But this umpire in this game on Saturday for that College World Series, I thought was what an idiot. Like, what are you? I don't know who he is. I don't want to know who he is. That's how bad he was.
I thought that it was completely gutless and completely out of line. It is the first of the College World Series championship game. And this is what we're doing. We're running, guys. It was just awful job.
They would have never done that in a Major League playoff game in the first inning, ever.
Never.
In a playoff game.
You've got to,
ever.
And later on we got the clip of the guy kind of talking about it, and all he said to him was, "You missed 3." I want to know what the warning was. You missed 3 calls. He didn't F-bomb him. He didn't do anything. He didn't do any. And he gets thrown out. That guy should never umpire another game of significance ever.
He should be doing high school games.
After what? You know what? That's fine too. Send him out, because that was a just disgusting performance by him, throwing that guy out at the beginning of the game. But LSU did win the College World Series championship over Coastal Carolina.
If you want to call it that, like after they ruined it, that was the phoniest championship I've ever seen in my life. Like, they just handed him the title.
Bad job all around. Speaking of titles, the Thunder won one last night. Took them 7 games, but they beat the Pacers 103-91. So much for that Pacers 100 points in every game. That fell on me on the last game. Dragged me all the way to the end, and I couldn't get 100 points in the last game. Our last NBA highlights of the season, in the second half, the Thunder took the lead, pulled away, and they never looked back on ABC, ESPN.
Russo and SGA play catch. 7 on the 24. Three-pointer SGA puts it in. He's got 25, and the lead is ballooned to 16. Right at Holmgren, pulls back out again. Across the lane, spins, finds Neesmith. Blocked by Holmgren. Dort the save. SGA splits the defense. Kicks it out. Williams, a three-pointer. Bang! 21-point lead.
Yeah, look, it was unbelievable because it was a really good game, and then it wasn't. You know what I mean? It was like super tight, and then all of a sudden they just got it up to 16, and then it was flirting around, 13, and I guess the closest they ever got was 10, and they were laying 7, so I needed them to cover it, and they did, and so I was happy. My son's a huge Thunder fan his whole life. He was happy. I thought it was a pretty good game, all things being equal, I guess until the end. It wasn't a great finish, but I thought it was a really good game. I thought the Pacers showed up. I mean, they were giving them nightmares. And I thought that the Thunder were out of sorts. I did not think they had it going on at all. And, that enabled the Pacers to be in the game, that they were hitting shots, a lot of them. And let's face facts, Haliburton, he, tore his Achilles. But he hit 3 threes before he did it. He had the most threes in the game.
Yeah, I thought he gave them, before he got hurt, unfortunately, he gave them a lot of juice early on in that game. And then, McConnell tried to keep it going for them in the second half. And it just, they just kind of kept leaning on him, and then they tipped him over. They just didn't have enough to keep up with SGA and the Thunder. You talk about a historic team. Most wins regular season and playoffs combined. Look at where the Thunder sit here, Scotty, at the top of this list, wedged between two legit dynasties, of course. The Warrior teams from 10 years ago and the Bulls teams of the 90s. 84 wins for the Thunder. The Warriors in 15-16 at 88, the Bulls in 95-96 at 87, and then you see Bulls, Warriors, those same group of teams right behind them. Impressive stuff from OKC.
Yeah, they're a great team that got it done, and if they wouldn't have got it done, we'd be making fun of them because they won so many games. I thought the key to the game for them was simple. It was Abe Lincoln. 5 block shots. I mean, he was blocking, and they all were in the second half. Unless I'm mistaken. Yep. He literally took the game over himself, swatting shots left and right, and really, I think, stuffing the Pacers back in the bag to send them back to Indianapolis. I thought the defense was the key, and his block shots were the difference.
They certainly were. We'll start with Thunder head coach Mark Deneau. Very proud of his team for finishing the job.
I'm just so happy for the guys. I mean, this is an uncommon team. This is a great team. You know, all the boxes that this team checked this season, it's a historic team. But there's no guarantee that you end it the way that we did. And so I just wanted it so bad for them. And I was just so thrilled that we were able to get that done and they get to experience this because they deserve it. You know, the way they approach it, the professionalism, competitiveness, team first nature. Like I said, I wanted it so bad for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, the game before, Game 6, Caruso had none, and then in this game he had 10, and I thought that was huge, including, 2 threes, and then Wallace hit 2 threes. He had 10. I thought that 20 points made a big difference for him. And Holmgren was 18-8 with the 5 blocks. Dort was 9-7 with a couple of threes. J-Dub had a couple threes. Chet had a 3. Shea had 2 threes. I mean, they had everybody chipping in. And I never thought they played great in that game until late. I thought, the reason why they played great late was their defense. They started getting stops. As we've talked about it on this show a million times. Stops lead to everything. Buckets, wins, relationships. I mean, you get stops, everything opens up for you. And when you stop the other team and you go down and finish and get something out of the stop, you win games.
That's what it comes down to. SGA, 25 points, 12 dimes, 5 boards. He won the NBA Finals MVP. Mentioned to you before, 4th player in league history to win MVP, lead the league in scoring, win the championship, be the Finals MVP, joining Jordan, Kareem, and Shaq in doing that. We'll slide him in. Here he is on being named with the Legends of the Game.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that I'm part of that group. It's hard to even fathom that I'm that type of basketball player sometimes. As a kid, you dream, and every kid dreams, but you don't ever really know if it's going to come true. And I'm just glad and happy that my dreams have been able to come true, and that's a thank you to everyone that's been in my corner that's helped me get here. I wouldn't be able to done without them. They know exactly who they are. So, yeah, it's a win for the family.
Wow.
They got it done. Now, what'll be interesting, they're obviously favored to win it again next year already, and they should be. That's how good they were. So we'll see if they can live up to it. I think they're going to be back there for sure. They're only going to get better. Do you realize next year they have 4 first-rounders?
I've got all what they have for you later on. I got a big graphic on it.
Their team totals 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way, and now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back, because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling
Finally.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside.
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Our buddy Mitch Lawrence from NBA Radio on SiriusXM joins us now from Dallas. And I got to start with this. Like, I don't really listen to like Mike and Doris and Richard. I don't. Like, I focus on the game. I'm like watching basketball. I'm not like really invested in what they're saying. So like when I'm watching the game, and my son's a huge Thunder fan, and he loves them since he was born. Obsessed with them back when they had KD and the Beard and Brody, right? So that was when he started loving them. Right. And they've had different versions of that team through the years. They've had, PG, and they've always been close but no cigar. They finally get it done. We're watching a game. I'm not listening to the announcers. I'm not listening to, I guess, the fact I said to my son, did they mention that he tore his Achilles? Because I don't think they ever did. Because when I saw it happen as a basketball player myself that plays every day of the week, I knew right away that wasn't his calf. When I saw that thing snap, his foot snapped, and I knew he had tore it completely. And my question is, when it happened, I wasn't listening. I was just reacting to it. I said to my son, that's a tear. He's done. And he was pounding the floor. And I was just like you, I think. At that point, I thought, literally at that point, I said, this game's over.
Done. Yes. Yeah. That was terrible. It was terrible because you saw the way he started the game, right? You saw the way he was hitting three-pointers. You thought, and I thought going into this game, if it's a close game, and it could be a close game because they've already won game one there. He stole that game for him with that shot at point three. So they can win Oklahoma City. They've got the confidence. One thing Richard Jefferson did say that was pretty interesting, and I agreed. You don't have carryovers in games except for you could have carryover in terms of your team's confidence from game 6 to game 7. And that's absolutely true. I think they went in there totally confident. Okay? But the problem is, then you say, okay, if it's close late, who do you trust more? I trust him more than SGA. Why? Because what he has done in this playoff season has been outerwardly. He's been the best player in the playoffs. And so here's what happens. Have you ever seen in the game 7 of an NBA Finals, and I've been watching these games since the 60s, if you've ever seen in game 7 where a Finals MVP gets knocked out in the first quarter and is done? I don't think it's ever happened before. I think that was a historic injury that obviously took its toll after halftime because they were up 1, and you just knew the inevitable was coming. They were never going to win without him. And what happened in the second half to their offense? They scored 13 baskets, and they turned the ball over 14 times. And the starters had 15 points combined. Their offense was done in by losing him. He could have been the finals MVP, and the Oklahoma City defense, which people have been raving about all year as this great historical defense. I do not put them on the level of the 96 Bulls. We've talked about that. I think there have been other teams that play greater defense, but they have the numbers to back them up. Finally, to have that. They raised their level to the point where TJ McConnell and all these guys could hardly even dribble. It looked like Jeremy Lin in Miami Heat, if you remember that game, where he couldn't even dribble the ball up the court. Okay? So you're right. When he got hurt, and they didn't say a lot about the injury, but Lisa Salter of ABC, the sideline reporter, confirmed it with John Haliburton, the guy who used to get in Giannis's face. The father confirmed he had the torn Achilles. Where ABC missed the boat was at halftime, you got Bob Myers sitting there, who had Kevin Durant back in the day, similarly injured. It was a Game 5, not a Game 7, if I'm correct. And so he could have talked about the whole deal with Durant, with blowing out the Achilles. And I don't even think they talked to him about that. That was a bad job, if I remember correctly. It was just one of the biggest letdowns to a Game 7 you'll ever see, because when he went out, that killed off the Pacers. And now they're left with the big what if. What if he had played? Because he could have brought him home, and it would have been a historic championship.
What do you think the reason is? Because they didn't mention it at all, because they didn't know, I think, specifically that it was the torn Achilles. Or that they wouldn't mention an injury like that unless they knew. But I don't know anyone that really knows basketball that didn't see that thing pop. You saw it. It was almost like his foot broke. You saw the weird angle of it snapping. You knew it was not his calf. I knew it was his Achilles. Yeah, why do you think that they never mentioned it? Because they were afraid to give the wrong injury, because I think everyone knew it was an Achilles, and it was.
Yeah, you'd have to ask who's ever in charge there in terms of getting the information. They never felt comfortable. Although, like I said, I think Lisa Salters did confirm with the father that it was an Achilles. But
in the third,
what's that?
Wasn't that like in the third quarter when she started talking about it?
It should be with all the people they have there, and they run this event, right? They should get that information almost instantaneously. It can't happen that quick, but come on. You're in charge of getting the information. You're sitting next to their benches. You've got to have contacts within the Pacers PR-wise, or the trainer to say, hey, just what's going on? We're going to tell the fans. So we knew, you and I knew, and other people knew that he was done. He wasn't coming back. And now the double whammy for the Pacers, besides the great what if he had played, is now he's probably done for the whole entire year next season through the playoffs, because he injures it. What was the date? June 22nd. He'll be back next June 27th. The Pacers might be on vacation for 2 months already by the time he comes back. So it really is such a blow to the franchise, which was on this magic carpet ride throughout the playoffs with these miracle last-second wins, because he's nailing these shots that nobody's ever seen before, since like Michael Jordan or whatever. And now you're in a situation where what do we have in Indiana? We have no idea.
We'll come right back with Mitch Lawrence.
Their team total is 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way. And now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back, because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling
Finally.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're talking to Mitch Lawrence from NBA Radio on Sirius XM on Coast to Coast. Mitch, you and I talked about this calf last week, and that you said it could rear its ugly head again, and it sure enough did. So I guess my question is, do you believe, because I had said to you even then, I'm like, I know guys that pull up lame with a calf, with a strain or a pull or a tear, and they're done immediately. They walk off the court. They grab their stuff, they go to the car, they go home. You don't see them for 2 weeks, and then they come back to the gym and tell you how tender it is. He came back 2 days later. 5 days later, he tears his Achilles. Best laid plans. I don't suggest that he shouldn't have been playing, because he obviously played in Game 6 and in Game 7. But boy, did that thing snap. Do you think that caused the Achilles tear, the calf? Because it's all they all bleed together.
Right, it happened to Kevin Durant, right? It's happened to a lot of guys. How about the injuries this year in the playoffs with Lillard and Tatum and now Haliburton, all number 0 and all with the Achilles thing? It's crazy. You got to figure it out in terms of how you deal with these calf strains now. You're going to have to sit guys for several weeks, because that just could lead to this just devastating type of injury. Now, of course, he's going to play, because this is his chance to win a title. And you're playing for the Indiana Pacers. They've never won, and you might not get back there with this team, despite how the East is shaking out. And it looks like if he's healthy, the Pacers could make a little mini run here. Who knows? But he's going to play. And, we always criticize players for not playing, right? A lot of us do. Hey, he's not playing. Hey, these guys know. They've been told by the medical people. They probably have been told about this is what you can risk going forward. And you know what? If you're him, you're going to roll the dice, because you may never be back in a Game 7 of a finals before with a chance to win not just the trophy, the Larry, but a finals MVP. And your legacy is set. So I'm sure they're probably for him, there's no second guessing. He wanted to play. He felt he had to get out there to give his team a chance. And he probably figured it would never happen to him, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen to me. Yep.
And it did. So I was watching yesterday. I was waiting for the game to start, and I was watching the 30 for 30 on the Bad Boys in Detroit. When you think of those back-to-backs that they won and how they suffered getting to that first ring for Isaiah, and then they backed it up by sweeping the Lakers. when they finally are Blazers, they beat the Lakers
Right.
and then they beat the Blazers and they won.
Blazers,
it was back when it was 2-3-2, but
Right.
That was the most violent team ever, right? Would you say in terms of intimidation, physicality, violence? Because back in it, I thought the Celtics and Pistons rivalry was unequaled.
It was great back then. I covered a lot of those games, but that was the NBA back then. It was based on intimidation, physical play. We're going to take your head off. Mark Price has often talked about every time when he was with Cleveland, the great guard, you remember him, and playing in the division against the bad boys. He said, every game I played against them, I always thought about, do I want to drive the lane the first time and get knocked on my ass with a possibility of injury, or am I going to basically just shoot jumpers? He said, because you knew you were going down. You knew that Lambeer, Mahorn, whoever, Rodman, Sally, these guys were out for blood. But the league played like that. You had teams with enforcers, Charles Oakley, right? Back in the day. You had fights. It was for fans today who all they know about is the stats from back then. If they witness games, if you took them back in time to the 70s, 80s, especially the 80s, 90s, where before the rules changed, people they wouldn't believe the level of physicality and violence and fighting. And it was just a regular part of the league. That's the way the league has changed. The league is now all about
Did you like
skill.
it better than, Mitch, covering the league? Did you like it better than, or the candy ass calls that you get now and the type of plays that you get now?
In a way I did, because the hostility and the hate was unrivaled. Remember back then, players weren't buddy-buddy. They weren't teaming up. That's the other thing. There was genuine hate among guys that's why the rivalries were so great. Like Larry Bird once told me, I didn't shake anybody's hand walking off the court. I hated these guys. I'm not going to shake their hands.
Mitch, there's no one better
Long
than you.
live Larry.
We enjoyed talking during the playoffs. The draft's coming up. Thanks for everything, Mitch.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.